I want to make the argument that it is not life in of itself that we value, but it is the human experience that we value.
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay. Should we have let, are you familiar with the Terri Schiavo case?
Very.
Should we have let her basically be unplugged?
Well, it's a question of we. Who is we? The government, society, or the family that made the ultimate decision?
It can be any.
However, someone who is quote unquote brain dead is actually far more alive than you might realize. Did you know that someone that is brain dead, a woman for example, she still goes through her menstrual cycle? So if a woman is brain dead, how is she still menstruating and ovulating? Maybe we are more than just our brain activity. Maybe there's a lot that happens in our being beyond just what we can detect on a SPECT scan. Secondly, a brain dead person, because I understand where you're going towards this.
Sure.
A brain dead individual, quote unquote brain dead, there have been instances, albeit very rare, where people that have no detectable brain activity actually come out of that and they have full consciousness. Very, very rare, but those are documented cases. Again, the Schiavo case has a lot more complexities. And again, to conflate a brain dead individual with a fetus that is struggling to develop and alive, or a baby, they're two completely different things.
No.
All right, Charlie, on a pro-life heated debate, so let's get down to it.
Howdy, Charlie. My name is Ethan. A little nervous. I have a debate background, nowhere near this size, but it's pretty fun. So I am a liberal, and I would like to discuss with you the topic of abortion today. I know. Yeah. And that's okay. I firmly believe that the pro-life argument is something that is held in good faith, and I used to side with that. But I think from a philosophical background, I don't think it holds a scrutiny, and I'm happy to present my argument for you on that. All right. So before, I would like to establish a few, I'll say like foundations that we can probably agree on. So the first argument I'd like to make is that this has to be within a secular framework, which I believe you have said that you can defend from a secular frame. Is that correct?
Yes, however, define secular.
Not coming from religion, so no appeals to like a divine entity or like objective, like universal rights, for example.
Well, can we agree murder is wrong?
Yes.
Is that an objective truth?
Not necessarily, because you could ask the question, wow. Wait, listen, I can answer that. Murder, by definition, is wrong because it is the unjust killing. So you would have to make the argument, is killing objectively wrong, which obviously in cases of self-defense is not. So that is my statement.
Was Hitler objectively evil?
It depends on who you ask. If you ask a Nazi, he's going to say no. If you ask a Nazi, to me, of course he was, but I'm not a Nazi.
Was the Holocaust objectively evil?
It depends on who you ask.
I hope you can see this is where, I did this for a reason. Mm-hmm. This is where A, secular philosophy leads you, where you're not able to say objectively Holocaust wrong, and B, most abortionists at their core do not believe the Holocaust was objectively wrong. That's not a criticism of you.
Sure.
That is a fact of philosophical morality.
Sure.
And I'm not trying to be unfair to you. I know you said you're nervous, but that is the furthest extrapolation of basically secular pro-abortion worldview. I interrupted you, so please continue. But at least we can agree murder is wrong.
By definition, it has to be.
Okay, well, it actually doesn't have to be.
I disagree.
Okay, but we said is murder objectively wrong?
By its definition, it has to be.
Okay. You're gonna have to further educate me on that one.
Sure.
But you mentioned abortion, so continue.
Sure. But at least can we agree that for the purpose of this conversation, as you stated,
I will not appeal to Scripture or God's word or
like an objective, like
Lord.
Moral, like unity or in the universe or anything like that.
Well, again, at some point we're going to appeal to some agreed upon moral framework.
Yes.
Which is the same thing as appealing to religion, but for the purpose of this argument, I will use agreed upon Western morality and bioethics, biology, and reason for the point of this discussion.
Excellent, thank you. The second point I would like to ask is, I would like to make the statement that we ought to respect and I want to make this statement clear, the wants and desires of the unconscious, such as dead people, sleeping people, comatose people, etc. Would you agree with that statement?
Well, what wants does a dead person have?
Easy. So I can answer that. So, for example, let's say I have a heart attack right now, but my friends, let's say Charlie, I tell you, I would like to be cremated, right? And let's say you're like, sure, Ethan, I can take care of that. I think that you now have a moral obligation because you have agreed
Fair enough,
to.
I got it. But
Right.
you're, actually, the dead person doesn't have the want. It was a wish while you were alive.
Yes, I absolutely
okay,
agree.
got it.
I absolutely agree.
Fine.
But I do believe that there is a moral
This is
bullshit.
this is a long wind up. So let's.
No,
answer
it's
that.
important. I promise you. I promise. But I'm glad we agree on that. Nextly, I want to make the argument that it is not life in of itself that we value, but it is the human experience that we value.
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay. Should we have let? Are you familiar with the Terri Schiavo case?
Very.
Should we have let her basically be unplugged?
Well, it's a question of we. Who is we? The government, society, or the family that made the ultimate decision?
It can be any.
Well, no, it actually matters.
Oh.
So which we are we talking about? The doctors, the medical professionals, the county, the state of Florida, right? I mean, there's like 9 different layers involved in this. But so let me just educate the audience. The Terri Schiavo case is the most high-profile, quote-unquote, brain-dead case of this modern era. Beautiful young woman goes into basically a coma, and what ensued was a series of lawsuits where some people in the family wanted to keep her on life support, and some people wanted to basically pull the plug. The government intervened. However, someone who is quote-unquote brain-dead is actually far more alive than you might realize. Did you know that someone that is brain dead, a woman for example, she still goes through her menstrual cycle? So if a woman is brain dead, how is she still menstruating and ovulating? Maybe we are more than just our brain activity. Maybe there's a lot that happens in our being beyond just what we can detect on a SPECT scan. Secondly, a brain dead person, because I understand where you're going towards this.
Sure.
A brain dead individual, quote unquote brain dead, there have been instances, albeit very rare, where people that have no detectable brain activity actually come out of that and they have full consciousness. Very, very rare, but those are documented cases. Did you know that someone that is brain dead, if you happen to, let's just say, put a knife in their knee, their norepinephrine and their adrenaline increases, even though they are brain dead, their immediate adrenaline response goes up. And so what you consider as brain dead, they're actually very much alive. Let me make one final point. To the menstruation part, a brain dead woman can get pregnant and deliver a child. She's not dead, it's just that her brain waves have decreased significantly.
May I respond?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. So there is a lot to unpack there, and because there's so much, and we only have so much time, I'm going to address the first thing that you said between who is we, and to that I would probably, I'm not going to make a hard standing on this, but at least at a first thought, I would argue that it is between the loved ones of Terri Schiavo and the doctors who are taking care of her. I think that's a question that's between the person who is injured, the people taking care of them, and the doctors.
So let's fast forward this to abortion, and I can kind of cut to the essence of it. When does life begin?
Conception.
Oh, it does begin at conception.
I agree.
Okay. So
Yes.
then should every life be protected post-conception?
I believe that every conscious experience that the human body has should be protected. Not necessarily life in of itself, as I personally, and as many people in the audience would agree. If I became brain dead, if I or you became brain dead, and there was no chance of you ever waking up, you probably would want them to pull the plug. And if you disagree, that's okay, but I don't think that's the case.
Hold on, but a
held by most people.
4-week-old baby left uninterrupted and properly nourished does wake up and have full consciousness and brain
Correct.
waves.
Correct.
So it's a completely different thing. You're talking about someone that has very little likelihood of brain activity reemerging versus a unborn baby in utero who inevitably will almost certainly have brain activity. So interrupting one actually prevents the development of consciousness, where interrupting the other actually does not.
May I respond? The issue I have with this is the conscious experience hasn't begun yet. For example, let's say this person right here to my left, if I punch him really hard, there's a person who we give moral consideration to that I have enacted violence upon, and we can make a objective statement on that, or he obviously has a conscience, we can agree on that. We can make an objective statement that I have violated what he wants But the thing is, a fetus prior to approximately 20 weeks, or at least that's what I've read, does not have a conscious experience. Therefore, it cannot care.
Brainwaves start a lot earlier than that. They start around 8 to 10 weeks. But brainwaves and consciousness are not necessarily the same thing, right?
Correct.
So this is where we differ.
Yes.
We believe that the human experience is more than just brainwaves. And I've proven it to you that your body still continues to function even though your brain is brain dead, menstruate, adrenaline spikes, so on and so forth. There is evidence to show that there's a lot more going on here than just the material between both of your ears. I suppose the question that I would ask, though, is do we have a moral right to protect humans along the stage of development, regardless of whether or not they can feel or sense experience at that period of time?
Do you mind if I rewind back to Terri Schiavo? Because I don't think you gave an objective answer to this. Should we have unplugged Terri Schiavo, who would have never waken up?
That wasn't my family member. It's a very difficult...
Let's say you were.
The answer is I don't know.
If you had to guess, or let's say you do have a family member, and it does happen. We can do it, Charlie.
It depends on the patient's wishes, first and foremost.
Let's say you don't know.
Yeah, it's a very subjective thing. I tend to go towards life. I tend towards the continuation of life.
Okay, so then you, let's say you have a very close relative, and that person would not ever wake up from a persistent vegetative state. Then you would not allow that person, effectively like euthanasia. So yes.
It's too much of a hypothetical. I don't know because it depends on circumstances. There's a lot of difficulties and complexities. It depends on their age, depends on their case history. It depends on whether or not they're responding to people's voices. All sorts of different things. However, you are conflating two separate things. You're talking about one that is highly likely to stay in a vegetative state versus a being that is
Can the crowd be quiet, please? I'm trying to listen.
Is alongside a process of human development.
Can you be quiet, please?
So again, we have a fundamental difference of what we believe a human being is. We believe a human being is far more than just consciousness and reason. And we know this. I mean, this is objectively a proven fact. You are more than your five senses. Would you agree with that?
I don't know how to answer that.
So I want you to think for a second. Are you only five senses?
The best I can answer is and this is going to be very vague, but because that's a very hard question to ask, I am essentially me. The five senses are a incorporate part of me, but I don't think that necessarily pertains to my...
No, it does.
Personally.
Well, it does, because basically consciousness is exhibited in five senses, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. It is. So, but the point being is, which one of your five senses tells you there's only five? There's something above just your five senses that's transcendent.
This sounds kind of like a non-secular argument when you make this like ascension like thing, and we have to keep...
No, I mean, you can be a secularist and still believe in a soul. You can believe an idea that there is a being within you that is above reason. So anyway, we're just going to disagree. Let me ask you just one final question.
Oh, wait, because I'm approaching you, can I ask?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it has been a little... Yeah, sure.
Sure. But the thing, the ultimate crux of my argument is that because there is no sentience, right? In the same way, like, if I were to punch a person, there's a person with a clear consciousness that I am enacting violence upon, and this is a bad thing. But because there was never consciousness to ever experience, I don't understand how we can have harm or suffering in that moral system, since nothing was ever negatively acted upon.
Great question. Yeah. If I go under general anesthesia, do you have a right to kill me?
You already agreed with me that we need to value the rights of people who are unconscious. You already agreed.
No, I know, but if I'm under general anesthesia.
Yes, and you're unconscious.
Okay, but explain to me the difference between unconsciousness and then the Terri Schiavo case, because people come out of brain dead all the time.
You just said it was extremely rare, and also we have very great methods of determining whether someone's going to be in a persistent vegetative state. So we do have the tools to be able to tell when a person is going to come back.
I keep going back to this, but is a 6-week-old baby going to stay in a persistent vegetative state?
No, but it doesn't have an experience to begin with, and therefore, why is it granted moral consideration?
Got it. Because we believe that all human life is equal, regardless of its size, level of development, environment, or its degree of dependency.
But then people who say that they would pull the plug on Terri Schiavo are now violating that principle, no?
Not necessarily. Again, the Schiavo case has a lot more complexities. And again, to conflate a brain-dead individual with a fetus that is struggling to develop and alive, or a baby, they're two completely different things.
No, yeah, you're right, and that's
One
why
has an
they
entire
are
life
different.
ahead of it.
So no, no,
One
no, no, no,
likely
no, no.
does not.
So I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. The thing with Terri Schiavo is that she would never have a human experience whatsoever ever again.
I do want to get to the next question, but let me just ask one final thing. Would you like to see less abortions in America?
It depends on the context.
Okay.
As long as no moral harm is done to a person that we give
Are you
moral
glad you were
consideration
not aborted?
to. If I was aborted, I wouldn't care. Because you wouldn't exist. You wouldn't care. And that's a fact.
We have a big difference of opinion. The final thing I'll say is this: we believe that life is a gift and an amazing thing, and to deprive another being of life is you then using basically your incumbent power structure to interrupt somebody else from being able to flourish and prosper, which we consider to be the apex of immorality. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Charlie, if he's not even happy that he was not innocent aborted and he does not still see anything wrong with whatever innocent Hitler did, then I don't think that there is no any level of education that will be given to him for him to change his mind, since he think that humans should be worthy of protection depending of their level of development. That will determine whether the life should be protected or not. Then you see that he's not just ready to learn, and then that's the reason why he does not see anything wrong of these women that go on to make abortion, but then therefore look at it based on of stages. So it means that he is just using level of consciousness to determine whether that very life should be worthy of protection or not. But thanks to God, we are here, and then we will continue to promote human right for every life to be worthy of protection, irrespective of their environment, since we are able to establish this very fact that life begin at conception. And then since life begin at conception, so it means that every life at conception is worthy of protection, and then we keep on advocating for that, because there are people of his kind of like mind who think that life should be worthy of protection. Some will say at 20 weeks, some will even say that at birth. Okay, but that's how they see it. But then it's our own responsibility for us to educate them, even though we understand that there are some extreme situation in the case of rape or incest, but nonetheless we still advise that if possible, why not you let the baby live and then should be given for adoption. So those are some of the options that are available. But then looking at the people of brain dead, we have seen family giving testimonies of their loved ones coming out of brain dead. So just like how Charlie says, of course they can still menstruate, they can still ovulate. So while pulling the plug, there are some people that comes out from this brain dead. Some even take months, some years, but at the end of the day, they still come back and then live a normal life. And there are people that still live up till now, and they are even in their 60s. So imagine that their family pull the plug. You understand? Then you could have just lose that that very human being. So someone still being brain dead does not necessarily means that the plug should be pulled. Everyone deserves to live, and then that's the reason why in that very situation the government have to step in to save this situation. It doesn't mean that just because of a family feels that the plug should be taken off or the plug should be pulled off, then they should go ahead and do so. No, we can do that. Every life deserve to live, and then we'll continue to propagate that. Well, I know that a lot of you have thought an opinion concerning this. Some might support him, and then some might disagree with Charlie, but it's normal. We are just for pro-life, and then we keep advocating for that. So see you in my next video and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.